On Melwater's property in the Monastash Ridge west of Ellensburg, Washington, there's a hole in the ground that looks like a well. It caused his radio to pick up strange signals, and it didn't seem to have a bottom. Mel's curiosity became an obsession.
In 2024, a team of engineers operating under the backing of Elon Musk did what the United States government had spent decades trying to prevent. They sent a high-tech probe into Mel's hole. The objective was not to measure its depth. The objective was to listen. For hours, the drone descended into absolute darkness, moving beyond every known geological limit. Then it encountered something. Not a structure, not a living organism. Something far more unsettling. A mechanical heartbeat, pulsing from a place where life should not exist. After recording the signal for 17 minutes, the connection was suddenly severed. There was no malfunction, no error transmission. It simply disappeared. Weeks later, when asked about the project, Elon Musk offered only a single statement: "We are not ready." So what exactly did the drone find beneath Mel's hole? The answer is about to unfold. The bottomless hole. For years, to Mel Waters and the local residents of Monastash Ridge in Washington, it was simply a hole, a strange feature in the ground, a convenient place to dispose of waste without a second thought. Animals seemed unbothered by it, and aside from the fact that no one ever heard anything hit the bottom, life continued as usual. It remained a passive mystery, part of the landscape, until an autumn day in 1996, when something changed. The change was not dramatic. It began as a sensation. While working nearby, Mel Waters first noticed a low hum. It was not the sound of machinery or insects. It was a low-frequency vibration that did not seem to come from any single point, but from the ground itself, growing stronger near the edge of the hole. At first, he dismissed it as imagination. Then, the animals began to react. His dogs, which normally roamed freely, now refused to approach the area within several hundred meters. When forced, they dug their paws into the ground, whining and resisting. Birds flying overhead appeared to curve their paths, avoiding an invisible zone above the opening. This was the first sign. The hole was no longer a static object. It had begun to exhibit behavior, a presence that could be felt. Soon after, others reported strange sensations when standing near its edge. A faint dizziness, an unsettling feeling of being pulled downward. They described it not as a typical fear of heights, but as a subtle pressure, almost like an invitation from the darkness below. These were not stories passed down over generations. These were direct experiences, occurring within a defined period, suggesting that the hole had shifted from a dormant state into an active one. That transition marks the true beginning of the mystery, transforming a simple cavity in the ground into a question about an ongoing process unfolding beneath the surface. The outputs no one could explain. When any system, whether industrial or biological, is active, it produces byproducts. A power plant releases heat and steam. A living organism exhales carbon dioxide. If the whole is not a static geological structure, but an active process, then it too must generate observable outputs. And when the reports surrounding Mel's hole are examined closely, the most unusual phenomena no longer appear random. They begin to resemble consistent outputs from an unidentified system. Consider the reports of radio signals. Mel Waters repeatedly described how a handheld AM radio, when brought near the hole, would begin to pick up strange broadcasts. At first, they sounded like fragments of outdated music from the 1930s or 1940s. But as the device moved closer, the signals became distorted, giving way to voices in unrecognizable languages. This was not random interference. The signal strength increased systematically as the distance to the hole decreased. From a physical standpoint, This suggests the presence of an active electromagnetic source beneath the ground. The signal is not a supernatural message. It is a form of energy leakage. Then there are the physical objects. The most widely known story involves a neighbor who threw the body of his deceased dog into the hole. Days later, the dog was reportedly seen wandering in the forest. It looked identical to the animal that had died, yet its behavior was entirely different. It did not respond to its name. Its eyes appeared vacant. It showed no recognition of its owner, regardless of the story's reliability. It describes a process. Organic matter enters, and a nearly perfect duplicate returns, altered at a fundamental level. More disturbing are reports of a strange material found near the edge of the hole, referred to by locals as ice stone. It appeared like ice and felt cold to the touch. Yet it did not melt. One individual placed a fragment on a metal plate and applied a welding torch directly to it. The metal melted into a pool, but the ice stone remained unchanged. It was not simply resistant to heat. It seemed to interact with energy in an entirely different way. When placed in a dark room, it was said to emit a faint glow on its own. These phenomena, radio signals, altered organic matter, materials with anomalous thermal behavior, should not be treated as isolated mysteries. They are better understood as what they truly are: emissions, heat, and waste. They are tangible evidence that something is operating within Mel's hole. And shortly after, these accounts began to spread widely across early online communities, rather than initiating a direct investigation to clarify the mystery. The government moved to completely isolate the area. The quarantine zone. The federal government's response to Meltwater's public accounts is one of the most unsettling aspects of the entire story. Yet, when it is no longer viewed as an attempt to conceal a secret, and instead understood as a containment procedure, the situation becomes far clearer and far more disturbing. A typical cover-up involves denial, discrediting witnesses, and erasing evidence. What happened to Meltwater followed a different pattern. He was not threatened into silence in any conventional sense. Instead, he was approached by individuals in unmarked military attire who did not deny the existence of the hole. They simply informed him that his land was no longer his. He was offered an extraordinarily generous financial agreement to relinquish all ownership rights and leave the country immediately. According to Waters, he received a substantial monthly payment, ensuring that financial concerns would never again be an issue. This is not the behavior of an organization attempting to hide a hoax. It is the behavior of an institution managing either a valuable asset or a known hazard. They did not deny its existence. They controlled access to it. Once the area was secured, local witnesses reported the construction of a fortified facility surrounding the hole, guarded by armed personnel. The security perimeter was not a simple fence. It was a fully restricted zone, closed to both ground access and air traffic. A containment protocol is not established to prevent information from escaping. It is established to prevent something inside from getting out. And more importantly, to prevent external interference from affecting what is within. The government did not act as though it feared public awareness of the hole. It acted as though it feared disturbance. The concern was not exposure, but disruption of a stable process. This suggests prior knowledge of its operational cycles, and a primary objective of maintaining its dormant state for as long as possible. That heavy military presence explains why, for decades, no one has been able to approach Mel's hole, and why it would take a private organization with the resources and boldness of Elon Musk to attempt to look inside once again. The drone detected something first. The engineering team operating under the backing of Elon Musk did not approach Mel's hole as a location to be explored, but as a system to be remotely probed, something that could not be accessed through physical presence, only through signal and response. There were no survey teams, no surface instruments, no attempt to establish a direct foothold in a site that had remained controlled for decades. Instead, the entire strategy was reduced to a single point, an autonomous probe, designed to function independently within an unknown environment where conventional physical models might no longer apply, capable of transmitting real-time data and adapting to variables beyond known engineering limits. This drone was not deployed to find a bottom. It was not sent to map or to identify geological structure. It was deployed with a single objective, simple in concept, yet far more dangerous in implication: to listen. In the first hours, the incoming data offered almost nothing that could be meaningfully interpreted. There were no clear images, no geological profiles, no reference points to define space. The camera recorded absolute darkness, not merely the absence of light, but a form of darkness that did not reflect illumination in any recognizable way, as if the surrounding environment was not just unlit, but actively absorbing visual signals. Yet the sensor systems continued to function, and it was within this layer of data that the first anomalies emerged. Electromagnetic sensors detected unstable fluctuations, not random interference, but repeating cycles whose amplitude shifted with depth, as if the drone were passing through operational layers of a system rather than geological strata. Pressure did not increase along predicted curves. Temperature did not follow expected gradients. Environmental parameters began to diverge from every model available to the team. At first, these deviations could be attributed to instrument error or unstable measurement conditions, but as they remained consistent across both time and depth, that explanation became increasingly untenable. The data converged toward a conclusion the analytical system had not been designed to accept. The environment the drone was entering did not behave like a natural space. Then, at minute 17, an event occurred that no model had anticipated. A signal appeared. Not sound in the conventional sense, not structured communication, but a repeating pulse with a stable frequency, a rhythmic oscillation with precise periodicity, unaffected by the movement of the device. It did not originate from any onboard system. It did not match any known source of interference. More critically, it maintained near-perfect consistency across each cycle, as if generated by a controlled mechanism rather than a random process. A pulse, steady, structured, repeating with unchanging intervals. The analytical system could not classify it as noise, nor could it identify its source. It could only record one definitive conclusion: the signal did not belong to the device that had been sent down. And at the exact moment that signal was registered, the connection was severed. There was no warning, no gradual signal degradation, no indication of technical failure. The data stream ended completely, as if a switch had been turned off from outside the system. There was no final packet, no error log, no emergency transmission. One moment, everything functioned normally. The next, absolute silence. The drone was not confirmed destroyed. There was no recorded impact, no extreme pressure event, no evidence of mechanical or electronic failure. It simply disappeared from tracking, as though it had never existed within the space it had just entered, and within all the data recovered. The most disturbing detail was not the loss of connection itself, but the implication that just before it vanished, something had already detected its presence. We may have already activated it. Now, it becomes possible to return to Elon Musk's brief and cryptic statement: "We are not ready." In light of everything that has been examined, the meaning of that sentence shifts. It is no longer about a lack of human understanding. It does not suggest that we are unprepared to comprehend the technology or biology of whatever lies beneath. It carries a far more immediate and unsettling implication. We are not prepared for the consequences of our own actions. The signal recorded by the drone, the steady pulse resembling a heartbeat, may not indicate life in any familiar sense. It may instead represent a system operating at low energy. A standby state, a dormant condition sustained across centuries or even millennia. It has remained there, functioning quietly within its own cycles, monitored and contained by those who understood the risks of disturbing it. The act of sending a sophisticated probe into the core of that system, a device emitting its own signals, may not have been a neutral act of observation. Within a system designed to detect and respond, it may have been interpreted as input, a stimulus, perhaps even a provocation. The silence of the drone is not necessarily the end of the story. It may be the beginning. It may mark the moment the system transitioned from passive monitoring to active response. Musk's warning may not refer to a future discovery, but to a process that has already been set in motion. Perhaps the true mystery of Mel's Hole was never about what lies dormant beneath it. Perhaps the real question has always been what happens when it wakes. And after that pulse, after that sudden silence, the most important question is no longer one reserved for scientists in the future. It is a question that now belongs to the present.